it's Ash from Super Videos, back for another video for Season 10 of The Walking Dead. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at how will Michonne leave, and what is going to be Michonne's exit storyline. But before we do that, for those of you that don't know, we are doing a poll on the channel. As you know, the channel right now is pretty much Walking Dead focused, but I am looking to expand the channel and start reacting to other shows. So I need your help to pick which show I'm gonna actually start watching and reacting to. There's a bunch of options you can pick from. You can actually visit the straw poll. The link is not only on the page that you can see, but also the link will be shared in the description. You can go there and vote on which show you think I should start watching and reacting to. So we do know Season 10 is going to be Danai Gurira's final season. Danai Gurira, of course, plays Michonne. So we do know that Michonne is not going to have a lot of time left, especially now that we are at the mid-season point, and she's most likely going to be in a very few number of episodes coming up in the next half. The biggest question right now is how will she exit? There's two ways this could go. We've talked about this before. She could either die or she could have an open-ended exit, and her exit could connect somehow to the Rick Grimes movies, and she could potentially leave as a result of finding out that Rick is alive and go after him in some way, shape, or form. Now, looking at that first scenario, I've talked about this before. I don't think they're gonna kill her off. I don't think it's wise to kill off this character at this point in the story. Even if she doesn't come back in the future, I don't think it makes sense for them to kill her off. I think it's better to have her have an open-ended exit. So if there's a chance in the future she's going to come back, they have some flexibility there and they could bring her back. And of course, if they want to, they can integrate her into the movies at some point in the future, even if that's not in the plans right now. But what we do know for sure right now is that Michonne has connected with Virgil. Virgil told her that the place he comes from is an island and they have a lot of weaponry that Michonne and her group could use to have a chance against the Whisperers. So we do know Michonne left with Virgil, and we do see that she's in this small boat with Virgil, and they're most likely going to that island. Now we don't know what's going to happen at that point. We don't know whether Virgil is going to be a good guy, a bad guy, whether he's going to have some knowledge about Rick or not, whether he's going to be the link between Michonne and Rick, or whatnot. But we do know for sure that Michonne's exit is triggered at this point. I don't think they would have this story arc and not have it connect to Michonne's exit in some way, shape, or form. It's just too close. It would be totally weird and bizarre for them to wrap up this story with Virgil and Michonne and have Michonne come back and have her exit in a totally unrelated story. Now, I do think that she's going to come back. I don't think she's going to exit before coming back to the group again. I do think she's going to come back and she's going to exit afterwards. But I do think that her exit is going to connect to this story arc with Virgil taking her somewhere. And I don't think those are going to be two separate stories. But regardless of whether Virgil's story is going to connect to the movies or he's going to know about Rick Grimes and he's going to be the link between Michonne and Rick, what we know for sure is that he's going to be at the center of the Michonne's exit story. I think it's going to be very unlikely for that not to be the case. Now, we do see in another part of the trailer for the second half of Season 10, this boat showing up. Now, this is like a battleship of some sort, and it could potentially be connected to what Virgil said about the weaponry that they have. This could be one of the weapons that they have that they could give to Michonne and the survivors. Now, in another shot, we do see Michonne in that boat. So we do know that the big battleship is also connected to Michonne's story. Now, what's very interesting is that we saw this shot in the trailer for the first half of Season 10, where we had Michonne wearing this leather jacket carrying Lucille. Now, we did not see this in the first half of the season, and that actually pissed off a lot of fans. A lot of fans were open about their disappointment for not getting this scene in the first half. But what I think they most likely did is that they filmed Michonne's parts out of sequence. And that they did certainly shoot certain scenes with Michonne, one of which being this one, that they had in hand before the second half, but they just didn't put it in the first half because it was for the second half. So I think they shot this out of sequence. And I do think they're going to bring that back into play in the second half. And this is going to play a part in Michonne's exit story arc as well. And I do think that it's not just going to be as simple as Michonne just showing up with Lucille and pointing it at the camera. I think the scene is going to be more involved than that. And I think there's going to be more going on than just Michonne with Lucille. Now, with that said, there's a very good chance that this is going to be some sort of a dream sequence or a hallucination of some sort. I don't think this is actually Michonne holding Lucille. And I don't think this takes place in real time. I think this is just a hallucination. But regardless of whether this is a hallucination or not, I think that they're definitely going to bring this back in the second half. And they're not just going to totally skip it. Now, something else that I recently found that sheds a lot of light into what could potentially be happening with Michonne's story is this shot here. So what we have here is Michonnes Standin. This is not actually Danai Gurira. This is just her stand-in. So we have someone standing in for Michonne, and they're at this table, and I'm not even sure what they're doing, but there's crew around. Now this looks like it's inside of a boat, which is extremely interesting. It could be inside the same battleship that we saw, or it could be something completely separate. But my point is that this was released a couple months ago, before the first half ended, and we never saw this scene in the first half. And I think this scene, much like the scene with Michonne holding Lucille, is going to play a part in the second half of the season, and it's going to be a significant part of the story in the second half. With that said, we also have this picture of Danai Gurira with one of the crew members. Now in the background, if you pay attention, it looks like maybe it's a cave, but it could also be inside the battleship, but it's unlikely that it's inside the battleship because it looks like inside some sort of a cave. Now what I think is even more interesting is that Michonne's outfit seems to match the outfit she was wearing in the scene we saw in the trailer where she was holding Lucille. So that's extremely interesting as well. Now, I don't know whether this is part of the same scene or it's related, but it's not from the same scene or not, but she is definitely wearing the same outfit, so that's very interesting. Now, the other thing I do want to mention is that, like I said, this scene could be taking place inside the battleship, but you know, what is Michonne doing? Is she making some bullets? Is she preparing something? What is she doing? That's the biggest question. But the background that we see here seems to be very different than the background that we see here. So that leads me to think that these two pictures are from two different spots and not actually from the same spot. And the other thing is that what she's wearing here is different than what she's wearing in the scene where she was holding Lucille. But it's actually very close to what she's wearing in this picture here. So that's extremely interesting. Now, one final thing, we also have this shot in the trailer of the second half of the season where we have Michonne wearing what seems to be the exact same hood she was wearing when she was first introduced. She's even carrying this chain, and it seems like she's carrying her walker pets, the same exact walker pets she was with when she was first introduced. Now, people have brought up the fact that her hair looks like it could be from before, and it's not the hairstyle that she has right now. But I think that's extremely difficult to tell. But I think if this is in fact part of a flashback and they are revisiting that scene where she was first introduced, I'm really curious to see what that's about. And I don't know how they're going to make that fit the story and what that's going to be about. Now, if this is not a flashback and this is Michonne in current time and she's just wearing something that matches exactly what she was wearing when she was first introduced, with her even carrying zombie pets just like she was when she was first introduced, I think this could definitely play into her exit story arc, and you know, they could be doing something where her story is going to come full circle. The question is, how is it going to come full circle? And I think that's one of the key questions that I have going into the second half, specifically looking at the Michonne exit story arc. But generally speaking, to give you a brief summary of my opinion, I think that we're going to see a lot more of Michonne in the first 2 episodes back. From the second half, you know, we're going to see a lot of these different scenes with her in the boat, with her holding Lucille, and with her being accompanied by some walker pets, just like she was when she was first introduced. I think those scenes are going to play into her exit story arc in the second half. And I definitely don't think she's going to die. I think she's going to have an open-ended exit. And I think there's a very good chance that her exit could connect to Virgil, and it's going to take her out of the story and potentially put her in a spot where she might be able to integrate into the Rick Grimes movies, and she could connect to Rick in the movies in some way, shape, or form. But with all of that said, I want to know everyone's thoughts and opinions. How do you think Michonne is gonna exit? Do you think she's gonna die, or do you think she's gonna have an open-ended story? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video. If you like what you see, press like, subscribe for more content, and press the bell button to receive notifications for daily uploads.